Unit School District 308 Board of Education meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Baumann.
Here.
Mrs. Doyle.
Here?
Mrs. Kroner.
Here.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Present.
Ms. Morgan.
Here.
Mrs. Moyer. Mrs. Swanson.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no public comment this evening. So we'll move forward to item 5.1, board member comments. Would anyone like to go first? By raising their hands, you can let me know that. All right, then I'm going to pick. We're going to start with Allie. Anything to add today, Allie?
Oh, well.
It's snowing.
It is snowing. I think Dr. Sparlin wants to talk about this in a little bit, but I think that the Kendall County thing went well.
I hear that too. We'll talk about it in a minute.
So we'll talk about that in a minute, so I have nothing new to discuss.
It was a big deal. All right, Tony?
I want to say that I know that there are teachers listening to the board meeting and other staff members. I hope that we've made it clear to them what happens in the case of bad weather and snow days. I want to say too that I think people are being challenged to do unbelievable amounts of work just based on the fact that the board is changing schedules from time to time. And I know that this is me just acknowledging that every single time we change the schedule, there's a whole constellation of people who have to then change their lives and their schedules and their things. And this includes the parents out there who are watching too, because to get childcare and to do what it takes is very hard. And I guess what I'm saying is I really appreciate the fact that all these people do all this, and I hope that as a board, we take it seriously and that we're not blithe and goofing around and acting like this doesn't matter, because it matters a lot that all these people are out there staying up late, getting up early, doing without, trying their best, and then we're saying things that like, do it again, do it a different way. And we are not taking that seriously, or as seriously as we should sometimes. And I felt like I needed to say that tonight because I've heard from many people in the community that are doing a variety of roles for the district. And I think that sometimes we try to put a smiley face on things, but positivity is one thing. Pretend positivity is a whole different thing. And we need to take this seriously, and we need to try our best to not put people in situations that are unduly stressful, because these are real people who have done their best for us, and God forbid we lose anybody. Because I'll tell you, it's hard enough to get a person who's trained to go into these classrooms and do these services with these kids and do all these things. If we lose people in this state, for whatever reason, we're going to end up using some person, maybe without a credential, some person that we don't know who this will be if things get bad. So we need to make sure that we're treating people respectfully and that we're treating people logically and trying to get this thing rolled out in a way that does not unduly stress the people in the district, because my deepest concern is that we will break this district.
Ruth?
No, I'm good.
Matt?
Yeah, I think Tony had some good points as we were going in through our back-to-school plans, and we are transitioning and changing. It's very similar to what myself and maybe many others had done back in the early stages of March, April, May, where every time you went to work, you were faced with a new directive. There was a new memo, so to speak. What was the county saying? What is the state saying? How many people can we be around? How many people can we work with? From my occupation, what does the CDC say? What does OSHA say? How can we handle things? And it was just a constant barrage of information and trying to figure out what you can do. Can you do it right? And it's stressful. And I know that staff is going through that now this past month, being back in the building, and there are changes every day. So I want to make sure as we go through and we're talking about how we're evolving, how we're changing, when we're changing, that we do it with the expectation that our expectations aren't perfection, and our expectations come with a little bit of grace for when we fail. Everything's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be the way it planned. And I think it's false to say that we expect that from every single person that's in our buildings, that's working with the kids, that's cleaning the building, sanitizing. This is all still new for everybody, so I think we appreciate the work that's going on. The expectations are low, or not the expectations aren't low, but we know that it's stressful. So I hope there's those that can kind of take a deep breath and be able to just breathe and know that they did the best they could that particular day. And tomorrow's a new day, and we'll go through it again. But we do appreciate all the work that's being done, or I appreciate all the work that's being done.
Brent?
Yeah, two things real quick. So, Lori, you and I were last week in some buildings, Wheatlands and Benarsic, and got to see some happy kids, some happy teachers, and some happy folks to have kids back in the building, albeit under different than normal conditions. But I would report that things were going very well. One of the most fascinating exchanges, I think, was actually listening to a principal of a building have a conversation with staff when a staff member was unsure and unclear about why something was happening, and that principal was able to immediately reiterate this, and this, and we have it taken care of, right? So I felt really good after witnessing that exchange, and I don't think that wasn't staged for us, but it was good to say and see the buildings have things under control. As we've been talking about, things are not perfect, things are not ideal. There are still questions, and we're working our way through those questions. One other comment I'd just like to make quickly. I know the board had gotten some comments about it this week. I got a bunch of additional comments from people I know regarding the JCAR ISBE amendment that is being proposed regarding teaching and leading standards. I'm not going to take an opinion on it. I will personally be contacting my state legislators. I will be personally sending an email to the ISAB with my thoughts. I would encourage folks in the community, if you're for it, great, let people know. If you don't like it, great, let people know. My only comment I will make is I find it interesting that the State Board of Education is focused on this right now when the rest of us are focused on very different things. Getting kids in buildings, getting kids learning, and focusing on things like how do we get above the state standard of 30% meets and exceeds at the high school level, or 50% meets and exceeds for reading and math in the junior high, or 70% meets and exceeds in elementary school. I think that's what we need to be focusing on.
So I will go ahead and finish up and say that, Tony, I completely agree. This isn't something that I think anybody involved in education across this country, I would dare say in other countries as well, is taking lightly on any day of the week. And I think that what Matt had said and what you are saying, both are very true. And I think the one thing that I have seen consistently besides change, which is our favorite word, is the fact that we will have different opinions, and that especially in this boardroom, I do feel that every path our community takes is represented, and for that I am very glad, because even though it's a little bit all over the place, we've never done this before. So at least we're trying to accurately reflect our community and come to something that we can create that will be in the best interests of as many families as possible. That being said, it's not something that is falsely optimistic, except for yesterday. I gotta be honest. I was waiting for some way to get a segue, so thank you, Tony, for that, because yesterday we were able, I'm not even gonna spoil the fun, but we were able to vaccinate a whole lot of people. And Ursula and I had the privilege of sitting in discharge where one of our other employees suggested there might be happy people, and there were. And frankly, it was so fulfilling to be able to see that our county health department was coming through for us, that they were able to offer this to us on such short notice. A little over a week ago, I wouldn't have guessed this would happen yesterday, much less that it would have happened so well and so organized. It was amazingly wonderful to see. And I don't think that you can say anything bad about that, because that was a great next step, that people could have that first step towards safety that they would like to have. And I want to thank Teresa especially. I know she's been bending over backwards with her toes touching the ground in yoga formation to get this for all of our staff members. And I am so grateful that we have you in our district to put this together for us. And I know that your team and all of your other senior leadership, Dr. Sparlin, have been working very hard to make this happen quicker and faster and more efficiently so that we didn't have to lose teachers out of the classrooms for this. So I really don't have words. I'd like to share with you that they were so organized. They even had EMTs circling around the parking lot so that if you were feeling any side effects while you were in your car, they would come get you, which is what I had told every single person that came past me in the discharge. They're circling out there. And even that little piece just was spot on and relieved so much anxiety. And it was there's really not words. It was pretty darn amazing, and I was really glad to be there. I would recommend all my board members come and help out if you're able to on the 28th when they will be back for their second dose. I'm pretty sure we'll get a link with somewhere to sign up. And the community support for volunteering, we had one student who's in our medical topics class who chose to take the fact that she wasn't getting internships because of this situation and turned it into, I'm gonna come volunteer here. And she volunteered sitting next to me over there in the discharge area just so she could get some up-close experience in her chosen field, because this is something that will affect her future. And that was pretty much just like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I
It's
think she
pretty-
said she's going to Western Illinois, isn't it?
She's going to Western Illinois to play softball, I believe. So I don't want to give you away the numbers because you guys have earned the right to share how many numbers. Teresa, do you want to say, or do you want me to let Dr.
Go
Sparlin?
ahead, Teresa.
Teresa, how many numbers were there?
2,000 yesterday. So we had 550 prior to that, and about 1,400-ish or so of yesterday ended up being our staff and substitute teachers. So incredible numbers.
Were any of our staff turned away?
Not-
Everybody in our staff that wanted their first dose of vaccine by yesterday has had it.
Yes, we opened up, if they were available yesterday. There's some people who weren't available yesterday,
Yes.
or, for whatever reason. But yeah, we were able to make a phone call about halfway through the day to every staff member, sent out a huge email, and I talked and text with about 90 people that we were able to add to the list on top of the nearly 1,300 we already had from our district signed up. So pretty cool event, and we get to do it all a second time.
With balloon arches.
Yes.
I hear there might be playlists of music and confetti cannons.
Somebody had that.
No confetti
that's been
cannons.
in the discharge area. I'm not sure who.
Somebody had that question. It was a great idea. It was a good suggestion. I liked it.
So yes, we'll appreciate all your help on the 28th, but it was a very cool event. Huge shout out to the health department for all that coordination.
So quickly.
Yes.
Dr. Sparlin, you got to be a bouncer, which is my nice, neat segue into your report.
All right, no committee reports, or?
Oh, did we have committee reports? Yes? Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess we'll do those
Sorry, it's
first.
usually me,
I was
jump
so
report,
excited
yeah.
about this that I just wanted you to tell about it. We had equity committee, And policy and legislative, so Ruth, or
Do you want,
Tony?
You go ahead, and I'll just,
we, the equity committee met virtually and we discussed language for our statement that we're working on, and it was terrific meeting to be a part of. Just a lot of really great discussion, and I'm kind of a vocabulary nerd, so I really enjoyed and appreciated all of the input, and I feel like there was lots of participation and like really digging into specific words that we wanted to use because words mean things, so it was great. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
I just think you and Faith did a really good job of following the suggestions of the people that were trying to get across their ideas during that time. And I want to bring up again, so that everybody listening gets it into their heads, that this is not one kind of equity. This is equity across the board. This is what you look like, whether you're abled or disabled, whether you're a certain color, whether you're a certain religious creed, just having that in mind when we interact in the district. And that's what people are trying to get into this language, is the idea that you can treat everybody decently. So, yeah, I think you guys did a terrific job, Faith and Ruth. I need to work on my muting and unmuting skills. That's what I learned that night.
When you're in person, make sure you don't mute, else we will know you're not actually talking out loud. Yes. Good. Policy and legislative?
You want it? He's pointing at me. Let's see, so we have to appoint a board treasurer. The board should be aware of that. Has something to do with our minutes, and that was board policy 2:220. There was something we added where it says the board's meeting minutes must be submitted to a board treasurer.
Yeah, the board treasurer is Christy Tyler.
We
Okay.
appoint her as our
I did,
treasurer.
yeah, we just
Okay.
hadn't at the meeting.
Oh, okay.
So, and then 7:345 is a new policy that discusses some of the privacy and security settings for the new technology. And a question that we asked to be brought back was whether or not students could bring their own devices and to kind of visit that whole thing. There was some concern from some of our committee about cameras not being on asynchronous days. I think that's a problem in pretty much every district. And then 8:30, we're going to bring back, because we had some questions on the language under procedures to deny future admission to school events or meetings. So that one's coming back to us, but everything else, everybody was good with. And we get way better attendance when we have them virtually. We have discovered.
I
that
heard
we
several teachers mention, and I've been to most of, well, not all of our schools, 4 out of the 5 junior highs, 1 of the high schools, and I think 8 or 9 elementary schools so far. And I heard more than one teacher say that they wished the kids had a picture of their ceiling fan around their neck on day 1 or 2 so they could recognize them. I think that there might be a yearbook opportunity there in 1 or 2 schools to showcase their ceiling fans, but yeah, I can see why that's an issue. And when you bring cell phones, when you bring Chromebooks, et cetera. All right, Dr. Sperling, I think that they'll let me go to your part now. You got to be a bouncer, so how was it?
It was an excellent experience, and I really, just to reiterate what everyone's already said, is just, thank the volunteers. We had so many volunteers. So many of our 308 nurses were there. Yeah. It was just an amazing, everyone coming together, to get this job done. And if you, like you said, if you were there, it was just smooth as can be. You were in and out of there probably within 15 minutes at the longest. So, again, thank you to the Kendall County Health Department, Rayanne, everyone that worked real hard, the police, fire, EMTs, everybody that were there. I mean, it was a impressive event. So, very well organized. So, thank you to everyone. I also wanted to mention that last week was National School Counselors Week. And I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize all of our school counselors for all the great work they do here in 308 and the impact that they have in helping our students reach their highest potential. So thank you so much to all of our counselors. And lastly, this evening, under action, the board will be asked to approve the budget reductions for the 2021 school year. There are two changes from what was presented at our last meeting that I would like to highlight. In regards to the idea of the 4-day in-person and 1-day remote for secondary students for the 2021 school year, that item was taken off the list that is being presented for this evening. We will put together a study committee of teachers, administrators, and parents to study this idea, and the findings of that committee will be presented to the board at a later time. And then the second item that has been removed is the item that was shared in regards to modifications to the goal program. I had conversations with Val Patterson last week. She worked with the program director as well. We'll work on ways of piloting this with students who may benefit from the idea. But for the purposes of this evening, it should be noted that we will not be changing the service delivery model for those students at this time. That is my report for this evening. Thank you.
All right. Item 6, approval of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve all items under consent, including 6.1, minutes from the Board of Education meeting on January 25th, 2021, open and closed session, and 6.2, to acknowledge the FOIA request received by the district.
Second.
Mr. Lightfoot,
Aye.
Mrs. Croner,
Aye.
Mr. Baumann,
Aye.
Mrs. Swanson,
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle,
Aye.
Ms. Morgan.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 7.1.
Item 7.1 is financial statements. Does the board have any questions regarding the informational item?
Can I ask one question that I obviously won't be able to get tonight, but how much money did we actually save first semester by being closed down? Like, I'm sure that you don't have that figured tonight.
First semester,
Yeah,
is that what you said? Okay,
yeah.
I can get you numbers.
All right, very good. No other questions regarding the financial statements presented? Okay. Item 7.2 is board policies for first read. Does the board have any questions in regards to the policies that are listed for this informational item?
You guys had said that there is a policy that's going back to the committee. Is that on this list?
No.
No.
No,
We
okay.
already pulled it.
Okay. Item 7.3 is an informational item, which is an annual item for this. So Christy, go ahead.
Thank you. So a mowing bid was released because our current contract is expiring. We did receive bids from 10 different contractors, and the bid was released as a mowing on an as-needed basis only. Our recommendation is to award the bid to Siebert Landscaping, who has comparable experience in a district of our size, and they are our current vendor. So we would bring this back to the board at the next meeting for an action item.
Who, Siebert Landscaping?
Siebert Landscaping, yes.
So I have a question. As it relates to one of the budget reduction items, is this an increase in our current costs from mowing?
This is not an increase in the current amount of mowing that we contract out.
Is it an increase in the cost?
The cost is increasing, yes. So the last bid, it is a 15% increase over the last time we bid this, and we're attributing this to the increase of minimum wage. At that time, minimum wage was $8.25 an hour, and now it's at 11 as it moves up to $15 an hour by 2025.
So I have a quick question. Normally, I feel like we just go with whatever's the lowest, and that one is not, I mean, well, it's very close, not exactly the lowest, so what would be the reasoning between picking Siebert and not the one that was?
Guzman,
right.
Romero Guzman Landscaping.
Yes.
In checking their references, they don't have any current accounts that are of a comparable size as the district's account would be.
Can you clarify this bid for me? Is this per, I assume this is per month?
It's per
And-
mow,
Per mow?
right, yep, for 8 buildings. Is that correct? 8 buildings?
And what if we have a drought in the summer?
Right, it's a as-needed basis.
I mean, who does,
Yeah, who decides that?
right? And is there any opportunity for intergovernmental cooperation on some of these things if there's,
Right, would there be a cost savings in hiring a personnel that we have right now, getting them a mower and a truck and mowing it? Like that, so when I first looked at this, obviously I did not have I assumed that this was per month. But now you're telling me that's per week.
Per mow.
Per mow, right. So you're talking 3 to 4 mows per month. Right, for probably 6 months, maybe 8, give or take. Right, I mean,
Yeah,
but,
Rob, could you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
so I guess that changes things for me, because my question is now, we probably have some staff who could do this job. We probably have a trailer and we probably have a mower.
Well, we do, actually. The
Yeah,
portion of the district not on this bid, we do in-house.
okay, so so the job already partly exists. So what if I took a person and made it fully exist? Would I be paying less than approving these bids?
That's a calculation I'd have to run before I could.
Well, can we do that before we put this on as an action item?
I also would like to see that, because if we're looking at budget reductions, if it's going to be less expensive to
In-house versus.
Right.
in-house
And I would
versus-
prefer to hire somebody in-house
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, as
Especially like this is 8 buildings. Why do these 8 buildings have to be hired out and not all the buildings?
Well, I
It
think
just-
that's an easier question to ask is, why are these buildings put out to bid? Why aren't we doing them currently?
Logistics.
Logistics, we don't have the
We need a
staff, we don't have the
personnel.
trucks, we don't have the equipment.
We certainly currently don't have the labor and the staff to do the entire district in-house. So we pick areas that are reasonably close in location to minimize.
Right, so we would have to bring on staff, which equates to benefits to a point, equipment and things like that.
Correct.
And it may be staff that we wouldn't need all year long either, just for mowing season.
Well, we do bring on summer help to help our crews, so that yes, obviously, we wouldn't need that for 12 months.
Correct, I think we've had these conversations in the past, that it's been less to contract these type of services out.
I just.
Rather than
in
hire
a
the
time when
staff.
we're cutting.
Right,
I just,
that's
if
what I'm
we're
saying.
cutting a job that could do the mowing and the cost is pretty comparable, I would prefer to keep current staff.
I'd like to at least know.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is 7.4. Item 7.4 is another annual information item regarding custodial chemical supply bids. Christie?
So these are products that we're currently using in our new electrostatic sprayers and our new Kyvac machines. However, now that we just purchased in the past fall, we're now seeing that the expected annual volume of these chemicals dictates that the product be bid. So we are recommending that the vital oxide, the gallon containers, go to Industrial Soap Company. The vital oxide in the 55-gallon barrels goes to JH Discount Sales, and the kibosh concentrate goes to Unique Products. This award would be for the rest of this current fiscal year, and then the following 2 fiscal years to coincide with when our next big chemical bid would be released. So we would all be on the same, those would all be on the same timeframe.
So what were the stipulations for delivery of these items? Should there be a shortage, things like that we've seen?
All of the supply warehouses are within reach, so we can drive out and get them if they have a problem with transportation, if they have a truck breakdown.
No, I mean if they don't have the product to give us.
We'll pursue it from a different vendor if we have to. If they can't provide the product, then I believe we have the right to go find it.
Well, and I'll just say that this is much like the hand sanitizer, that the price has gone down so much, so we're.
That's my next question, yeah.
You know, the market is full now with the product, so.
Our vendors.
But 3 years from now, it might not be that we
Right.
need this much. We're not bound to any minimums.
No, no.
This is strictly for what we pay
These
for.
are estimates, annual usage estimates.
So if we don't use as much,
Or the price goes down.
If the
Well,
price goes down, we've already bid it. You
if the price
can't
goes
get the
down, we're
price we
locked
got.
into this price. So I
That would be my
assume,
concern with
Right.
3 years.
Well, we can, if the price goes down, well, no, it's a
No, we
two-year
can't.
and it's the rest of this fiscal year and the 2 years, yes. So we are locked into the price, but I can tell you the price has drastically dropped from the first time we started buying this.
So then why would we want to lock into a 3-year
Right.
contract?
can we do shorter?
To get the price we got, right?
Right.
Because
right.
we
So they
said,
bid
what's
it
the price for
knowing
2
that it's a
years?
3-year bid,
Yeah.
right. And I can give you the comp, so, let me see, here it is. Right now, we are paying, for the 55-gallon barrel, $1,550 was our last purchase, and they're coming in at $620.
Wow.
Yeah. The vital oxide, the 1 gallon, we're currently paying $143 a case, and they bid $69 a case. So these are
Like
very
half.
competitive pricing.
Okay.
Are there any other questions regarding this informational item? All right, and item 7.5 is in regards to driver education vehicle bid. Christie?
So a bid was released for the 6 driver's ed vehicles. We did bid it as as 2 options. One, a 3-year lease, and we also asked them to give us the buyout price if we wanted to at the end of the 3 years, and then also as a straight purchase. 6 dealerships were sent the bid. We did receive bids from 3 dealerships. Darcy Hyundai is the lowest bid for a rental. We would recommend the Hyundai Sonata SE, as it's only a $5 difference than the Elantra, but it's a roomier vehicle. So we would recommend that to be leased for 3 years.
I have a question. So I know earlier on the mowing bids, we talked about Siebert being comparable. So I know that the driver's ed cars right now are not cars, they're SUVs, which makes me wonder why Ron Westfall Chevy only put a Trailblazer on here.
You know, when we received the SUVs that we have now from Jovec, which are also Chevys, at that time, he told me that Chevy is getting out of the sedan market.
So
I don't
Who
think that was
told- I
Allie's
don't-
point.
I don't-
think Allie's point was,
Oh, sorry.
why are we not looking at SUVs?
right, I mean, why am I not looking at something comparable, A, to what we have now? These are, I mean, high school seniors are not 7-year-olds.
But why do you want SUVs as a vehicle?
I'm just-
Isn't that more cost for the
I'm-
gas?
I mean, we're
I'm
talking
just-
budget costs, and the SUV is significantly higher.
I'm just, I'm wondering why they only submitted a bid for the Trailblazer when everybody else looks like,
Well, we bid it as a market entry level, sedan or SUV. That's how the bid was written.
and did we put mileage on there for our lease, or did we
sent out
not?
An amendment for the 12,000 miles, yes.
What's the useful life considered of a driver's ed vehicle when we're looking at leasing versus purchasing?
Well, they do say, the driver's ed department chairs say they put about 12,000 miles on. So if we were to purchase, you know, depending on the warranty, for instance, Hyundai's warranty is 5 years, 60,000 miles. So that would be right, we could purchase that car and still be within warranty. The Valley Honda and Westfall Chevy, those warranties are 3 years, 36,000 miles.
Right, but so my question goes back to this SUV, where if I look at the purchase price of this one that they submitted for that Trailblazer, it is cheaper than the Hyundai we're being recommended. So if you look at the purchase price on the 21 Trailblazer LS,
But it doesn't list the monthly purchase price for the purchase. Like if we're gonna buy it, are you thinking we just buy it outright or we pay it off?
yeah, I
over
mean, like,
X
I know
number
that
of
we've
years?
kicked around leasing them instead of buying them, but if I'm looking at something comparable to what they have now, I'm looking at the larger cars, and I'm looking at the final purchase price per vehicle, And if we buy the vehicle, for some reason, this Trailblazer is cheaper than,
It's cheaper, but not in
cars.
terms of gas. Gas is very expensive,
That's a good point.
but you have to put gas in everything.
but Sonatas don't use as much gas.
They get better gas mileage.
They do, by a long shot.
But a Trailblazer could do double duty at hauling other gear for things. No?
No.
Dr. Brown's like, no, no.
I think we're getting too far into the weeds.
I think so too. I think we had already discussed.
So we had decided
Requesting
to
a lease.
lease.
Yeah.
Because that would be the least costly option overall. And while I too actually am intrigued by the fact that this purchase price is so much lower than the lease, I think we had thought leasing would be less, and at this point, we're not looking to be adding driver's ed maintenance to the curriculum of our auto shop classes.
And the cars they had before the Equinoxes were Impalas, so they have had sedans before.
Right, but, so we talked about leasing because it was going to save money, but if you're, I'm only one. So
I guess I'm just confused why the lease price is so much higher than the purchase prices, but
Some
that's just
things
nothing I know anything about.
Are maybe,
That's
that
why
looks too
you
good to
do
be
that.
true, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, or it could be that the purchase has some kind of rebate on it
yeah.
Gotcha.
that they're applying to it.
Does anyone else have any questions? Oh,
Christy, do you recall, and I know you shared this with us before, do you recall what because we're paying a daily rate now, right? So what, on average, what is that per vehicle per month?
Per month. So our January bill was $697 for January per vehicle.
Okay, so substantial savings, whatever
Yes.
direction we go.
So this is about, if we were to lease, excuse me, it's a $33,600 savings annually.
If we were to purchase, what would it be?
Would be a one-time purchase, so then you would save 4,000 times 12, so $48,000 a year, excuse me.
Is there, so we bid this out, and I'm just asking, if we were to lease some Hyundais and some Hondas, are we able to do that?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
do we have to go with the
No,
low bid?
No, we could split it.
the purpose being,
Why would you do that?
Right.
I would do it for two reasons. One, I would have a fleet with more variety of vehicles that might better align with what kids are actually going to be driving. And then the second thing I'd be doing is, because we're doing this and we're trying to support local businesses, I'm spreading our dollars amongst other vendors.
Okay.
I would want to clarify, and I would want to check with the dealer because it was bid as 6 vehicles, so just to make sure that they would split.
Okay, that's what,
Okay.
I'm just asking the questions.
And just remember, Hondas are the most stolen vehicles.
Yeah.
Really?
Nothing
does that
against
hold
them,
true
because
with
I like
student
Hondas a lot.
driver,
but-
driver's ed placards on the top of them? I feel they might be a little more I guess they could come off, though.
Yeah. Anything can be removed.
Any other questions or information that the board needs for this item? So-
If you do have more on this, I'd ask that if it's just more detailed questions about the various mechanisms by which we could do this, if we could also email them so that we can all see answers, that would be great.
Okay, that was our last information item.
All right. Item 8.1, action items. Does anyone have any questions? Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to authorize the payment of bills in the amount of $29,699,014.02 as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Swanson,
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle,
Aye.
Miss Morgan,
Aye.
Mrs. Croner,
Aye.
Mr. Baumann,
Aye.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 8.2, approval of the 21-22 school year calendar.
I make a motion to approve the year 2021-22 school year calendar as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Croner,
Aye.
Mr. Lightfoot,
Aye.
Ms. Morgan,
Aye.
Mrs. Swanson,
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle,
Aye.
Mr. Baumann.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 8.3, approval of budget reductions.
I make a motion to approve the budget reductions as discussed and presented.
Second.
Ms. Morgan,
Aye.
Mrs. Croner,
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle,
Aye.
Mrs. Swanson,
Aye.
Mr. Baumann,
Aye.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 8.4. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
Mr. Lightfoot,
Aye.
Ms. Morgan,
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle,
Aye.
Mrs. Swanson,
Aye.
Mr. Baumann,
Aye.
Mrs. Croner.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Did you pick one, Ursula?
Yep.
Okay.
I know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.